This is Bishop Wambua. He's the leader of the Diaspora Advisory Council here in Boston. We also have Mr. Sam Mwaura. He is the one who is one of the leaders as well of the Kenya Diaspora Advisory Council. Yeah, he helps us with the media. Thank you so much for doing that for us.
He's a Daily Nation.
And the gentleman seated right there is one of the best businessmen we have around. He has a company, he does shipping and handling. Here in the state of Massachusetts, we have a number of areas where we have Kenyan concentration, and one of them is where we are right now, it's Lowell. The other one will be in Worcester, and the other place will be technically the Boston. We came here because maybe we were invited by a cousin. We came to school, or we came because maybe the climate was not as good. We came to look for good pastures. Thankfully enough, we have a good number of Kenyans who have been able to be stable in a way in terms of acquiring the right status to stay here. We have a good number of Kenyans who've been able to go to school, professionals who are working in institution of high learning. We have a big bunch of accountants in downtown Boston. We have one of the biggest in terms of the African immigrants, one of the biggest population that works in healthcare, professional nurses, from registered nurses, nurse practitioners, and what they call in the US doctor in nurse practice, DNPs, which is a very, very big plus because nursing is one of the careers that is quite stable, pays very, very well, and very flexible because of the hours you can work at night during the day. So you will find so many Kenyans in that profession. Most of the Kenyans, as we know, they're very hardworking. I'm not just saying this for biased reasons, but yes, we are. On average, you realize a student is going to class either in the morning or in the evening, and they are working at night. You'll find after they graduate, they pick up a job in the morning, they work a second shift, they work a third shift. And we've seen in the last 10 years, we saw income flows back home in a very disorganized way. But now as people start to settle, maybe they are investing back home. We've seen a big interest by our financial institutions. Chase Bank Kenya, Cooperative Bank, KCB, they've all have their representatives here in Boston, and which is good. They're paying attention of what is happening. The group that is working with when they're here is called the Kenya Diaspora Advisory Council, a group that came along when our current ambassador came here, met with the Kenyans, and Kenyans expressed the need to work together.
The process, we want to be involved in the process of decision making and policy formulation because we are tired of being exiles and heckling from across the fence. We don't want to react to a final product. We want to be involved in the process of the final product. But there are things and concerns in the diaspora that need actually somebody who has lived in the diaspora, somebody, when we talk about working under the table, social security number, being out of status, somebody who can articulate these concerns.
It's good to appreciate the diaspora for the work they have done. I do believe that you have seen the numbers through the central bank and the money that is flowing, and it's a very reliable source of capital, should I say, because we still have the link. But we still have a very small window because I do send money home because my mother is there. But maybe my little one, my daughter, when she grows up, maybe that link will start to get mild. By the time we have a Kenyan of the second and the third generation in the US, we might lose that opportunity. So we have a window that we still have very strong connections to people back home. And it's good to appreciate, acknowledge what people are doing, and also to encourage them to continue. And finally,
a point on that, we actually suffered that contradiction already because there was a disconnect between Obama and his father. Obama should be feeling more Kenyan than he is right now, but we have Kenyan Americans, children, my grandchildren who are born here. Like Amos is saying, that connection is going to fade off and sever. But before that happens, we want to see the Kenyan Americans, the people born here, how economically and otherwise they could link up and be part of Kenya. as it were, because their parents are Kenyans, given the fact that we are now dual citizens.
I'm not sure that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs released an article. They released a paper that was talking about, it was a diaspora policy. The ambassador forwarded that to us and others, and we looked at it and we sent back our recommendation. We did the same to Chairman Hassan with the IABC. So these are things that you could involve the professionals. Most of them are ready to volunteer. And we could, there's a big pool of professionals that we could, definitely use them to our advantage because they're willing and they're ready. So I don't know whether there's any question. Sorry, I know it was a little long.
No, that was good. My question is relating to the diaspora policy.
Yes.
What were the concerns that you forwarded to the embassy?
Very, very good question. I don't know whether any one of you had the opportunity to look at it, but number one, I'll be very open and very frank. The person who wrote the policy, it was not well done. There was not a real depth research done. I think, and I do understand, if someone somewhere in Nairobi is writing about the diaspora, I'm not very sure whether he is the best person, but I think one of the best things that we appreciated is that they initiated the process and they requested us to come in and participate. It was divided into different areas, and I will talk much about the economy. One of the areas that came through was something like the issue of banking. I know the private sector has picked up this. I know the M-Pesa system right now, it's working. But the question was, how can you involve the government of Kenya is on this side and the diaspora is here? How can you do that? How can you take care of that bridge? How can you bridge the gap that has always been there? And a good thing will be to involve the diaspora in every area of policy making. If you are in education, we have professionals who work, for example, in Boston's public school system, and they are writing policies for the public schools, for the public school systems right here. It would be good to tap into them and learn from them. The issue of when diasporas are going back home, people in the U.S. are disadvantaged because we cannot send our, so to speak, our belongings in terms of a car. So people in the UK, they get a free pass because of the policies that we have, whether you drive on the light, on the left, and you would agree with me on this one. So people are concerned because we cannot take, when we park, when we decide to go back home, and we have our belongings, when we want to bring a car back home, for policy reasons, we cannot take it home. Can the diaspora people get something like a voucher, especially diaspora here, I mean the US, so that we can have a level playing field with the people that are in the UK or in other countries that are right on the same side as the people in Kenya. The issue of healthcare came in. One of the big ones was the way our healthcare system is set up. So, and you do understand, I know the government is doing a lot in terms of, and I know Dr. Kwame would agree with me, we don't consider the total population and the number of doctors that we do have. I mean, the ratio is not
patient-doctor ratio.
Yeah, ratio is not good. And I think that the government could take advantage and maybe train nurses. Nothing against the doctors, but the nurses take less time to train.
The principle.
Yes.
We've heard your expectation, but it would be helpful for you also to understand our expectation.
Yes.
That we have more offensive interests than defensive interests. We don't come to explain what the Kenya government does.
Yes.
We come to explain what the Mudavadi government will do.
Okay. Okay.
Wait.
Go ahead.
We don't want to shift a debate where we explain or justify what the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission is doing.
Yes.
Some of the things they're doing are very, very unpopular with your audience.
Very true.
But they're unpopular with us as well.
True.
Their intention to have polling stations at embassies is ridiculous.
Yes.
But now if people ask us what is going to be done, what's going to be done is something we don't approve of. And we cannot spend time justifying what is being done which we don't agree with. Similarly, there are a number of issues. Diaspora is a very diversified audience. And then we talked about, for example, diaspora representation. 3/4 of our diaspora is in Uganda and Tanzania. Then we say democratically they were going, for example, to have a representative. Most likely will come from Uganda, and persons who usually cross the border into Kenya out.
Yes.
And persons who do not have the same dynamics of professional acumen and disbursements to Kenya, remittances, as you have here. So we will have to disaggregate the constituencies in the diaspora with very varied challenges.
Yeah.
Number 3, our purpose of coming
Yes.
is partly to hear and make sense of the sensitivities, aspirations, anxieties of the diasporas in Boston, but also to present the hopes, aspirations, and desires of the Musalia presidency campaign.
Yes.
So we have to strike a balance where we don't appear like we're a delegation of the Kenya government explaining for them what they're doing, because more than 50% of the issues we've raised really belong to another constituency other than the one that is before you.
Let me come home with that. What really happened from the inception of the Diaspora Council? The concept is to produce that neutrality, where, like we've had Kalonzo come in.
Yes.
He did his thing. He talked to us. He tried to convince us. But it's also good for you to come with this candidature, knowing what we expect out of good governance. And these are the concerns that the diasporans have. So when he stands there to
address... you to
address...
strike a balance between your appetite and ours.
Yes. well said and received home. And so within that neutrality and inclusivity, he's going to convince us that this has been wrong, and that's why we have these problems, occurring. I'm going to do it differently, and that's going to take care of this concern, and the other concern. If he convinces us, hey, and I want to tell you, Mr. Mudavadi, if you convince me that diasporans are not the people like the people in Kericho, I am a constituency. As long as $1 is 80 shillings, I can feed a village. And if I call today, that village goes to you. If you convince, it is true. If you convince these people, they may be few, but they represent locations and villages. The diaspora is a force to reckon with. And so if these concerns are addressed through your speech, and you win the vote here, you're gone, boy.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Yeah, sorry.
The two mass graves were all anxious, fears and forebodings, explanations. When they were dug up, when they were opened, there was a human limb found in all of them.
Oh. I saw that, and
part of one human body was found in all of them. So mass graves have no corpses.
Oh, wow. All right, I know this briefing turns will be another town hall meeting, but to everybody, thank you so much for coming. We will all proceed and go upstairs, and we will start our evening event. Thank you so much.